Welcome to Marius's Magery. This is your host, Marius Darkwolf, and what we're going to be covering is crafting in Thaumcraft. Now, Thaumcraft is actually one of the more exciting mods out there, but you don't get a lot of detail in a lot of the videos out there. They never show you how to make everything. They may show you how to research the occasional item or how to build the occasional thing, but they don't go into a lot of detail, and that's what we're actually going to be doing here. We're actually going to craft everything, and not only craft everything, but also show you what it's good for. And Thaumcraft can do just about anything that, Buildcraft or Industrial Craft can do. It is a bit more resource intensive, especially at the beginning levels, but you can do a lot of you can actually do a lot of things in there that you can't do with the other ones. One of the more interesting things is you can actually automate experience gain, and we're going to cover that. Now, mind you, that one is kind of further along the research path, but we'll get to that. Anyway, let's go ahead and start. Now, some of the first things that you're going to need are you're going to need your research table. You're going to need a arcane work table, at least to begin with. And then you're going to need a crucible, as well as your Thaumonomicon. You may be wondering what a lot of that stuff is, and that's actually what we're going to not only show you how to make, but also what they do and what they're good for. Alright, so to begin, what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and make a scribing tools. Just regular scribing tools is what they're called. And what those do is those help you make your research table. And how you make those is you have your bottle, you've got your ink sac, and you've got your feather. And that creates scribing tools, which we're going to go ahead and put right here for now. What we're also going to go ahead and make is we're going to go ahead and make our wand, which is one of the more important things that you're going to do. You're actually going to go through a few wands in your time doing Thaumcraft. And wands, especially the beginning ones, are kind of expensive because, as you can see, you need gold to make them, specifically gold nuggets. Thankfully, you can get 9 of those with 1 gold ingot, so it's not stupidly expensive. But what you do is you put a gold there, you drop a stick in, and then you get your shard, and it can be any of the different shards out there, not just a V shard. Now, there are 6 different shard types. Those shard types being the V shard, you've got your earth, air, fire, water shards, and you've got a dull shard. Shards are a new ore type that Thaumcraft introduces, which gives you basically the shards I just showed you, and they're generated around aura, around nodes, and nodes generate V. Anytime there's excess V in the atmosphere, it'll basically create one of those shard ores, and when the V drains out, and V is the fuel for Thaumcraft, it will create a dull shard, so it'll turn like a V shard or one of the elemental shards into just your regular everyday dull shard, which is kind of boring. If you leave it though, it'll actually recharge once the aura recharges. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to first thing we're going to make is we're going to make our tables. Now, the tables, as you can see, right here, what we do is it's basically 3 slabs across the top and a plank down at the bottom. So, very simple. Now we need 3 tables, so we're going to need to actually have 6. Well, technically, yeah, 9 slabs, which we get in groups of 3. So, or groups of 6 rather. So that leaves us with some leftovers. Now we also have our legs there, and that gives us our tables. And we're going to need that in a minute. Now we're going to go ahead and place our tables. Okay, and now we click on the table with the scribing tool, and that creates the research table. Research table is where all your initial research, or actually all of your research period, comes from. And what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and put that in. We're going to put the paper in to get ahead, getting a little ahead of ourselves, which is fine. Now we are also going to place, and create our arcane work table. And to do that, you just place a single table, click it with your wand, and that creates the arcane work table. Now it is very similar to your average crafting bench. However, the difference is this is also where you can treat it like a crafting bench. Anything you can do on a crafting bench, just about, you can do here. But you can also do a lot more. And the thing is, it does take your wand when you first place it, so we want to get that back, especially since we're going to create our Thaumonomicon now. And to do that, we place down a bookcase, and you right click on it with your wand, like that. And that actually creates an item. Now, the Thaumonomicon is probably your most important single item in the entire mod. The reason I say this is because this is where all your research is at. This shows you everything that you've researched, and once you've researched it, it tells you how to make it. It also gives you an idea of what things are out there to be researched. Just kind of running through some of the stuff just so you can see. So you can see there's something about what looks like gold, there's something what looks like fire, some other stuff. And then we've got these over here. And we're actually going to make 2 of the things today. So let's get started. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to create Nitor, which is useful both at the beginning level and at the intermediate and advanced levels. And it's actually probably one of the easiest things to research. What we do is we're going to come over here. Now, Nitor is a magical light source. It's also used in the crafting of golems once you've reached that stage. To get that, now we have to research it. Now, what you're probably wondering what that candle is. That is lux. Specifically, it is the essence of candle, of what is in of what's in a torch, and it's the essence of light. Everything that you create, everything that is in vanilla Minecraft and in the Thaumcraft mod has an essence, and you can find out what is in what that essence is by putting your cursor over the item and then holding down the shift key, and you'll notice that it pops up a little thing, that little window that shows you, for example, there you've got the little spider, you've got the cloth, and you've got the manacle. That shows you some of the different things. It's the essences that are in these various things. And you research those, and if they're what you're looking for, it makes it, or it helps you, it furthers your research. And so let's get started. Alright, so what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and hit the research button, and you'll notice it pops out research notes. It says, hey, we've got a theory here, but we don't know what it is. Now, we know that there is light in there, but we don't know if there's anything else yet. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and research it. And yep, now we know it is definitely lux. It is definitely a part of it at any rate. And this is what I mean by it's resource intensive. You'll notice we've gone through 10 at this point torches, and we're not even complete with it yet. Now, mind you, the torches only have a little bit of the essence in there, but that is purely that essence. So we're going to keep researching it. and now we've got it at 100%. You'll notice that there's a little shimmery wavy field around the torch that says, hey, this is 100%. So we don't need any more of those torches, or at least for this research. Now, but we do, you'll notice, because it's not at 100%, it's only at 40%, we do need to research some more stuff. So, since it is a type of magical fire, maybe coal has something good in it. Now you'll notice coal has both potentia, ignis, which is the fire, potentia is a little hand, and sexum, which is the rock. Let's go ahead and show you what I mean by that. Now, potentia right there, you've got the ignis there, which is fire, and then you've got the rock, sexum. Now, a very important point, you'll notice that both ignis and potentia have a number by them. That number means that there is that much of that essence in there, and that'll be useful to know in a little bit. So we're going to go ahead and finish our research. And yep, it definitely has something now. Big point. You'll notice that the sexum just faded out. That means that there is not any of that particular element in what we're researching. So if we were researching something that was just sexum, we wouldn't need to waste any more of it. However, we do have 2 unknown things in here. So it looks like we're definitely on the path. So we're going to keep researching, and it looks like potentia is definitely one of them, and so is ignis. And ignis is complete, and so is potentia. And that looks like that gave us what we need, because we now have a discovery, in this case Nitor. So we're going to pick that up, we're going to go ahead and chuck it in our hotbar, and we're going to take the coal out, because we're not needing the coal right now. Now we're going to go ahead and look, and we see. Now currently, we cannot make this because we've just researched it. We haven't actually learned it. To learn it, you have to right-click on it, and that completes the research entirely and puts it in our Thaumonomicon. Right here, you'll notice it's no longer blinking, and it doesn't have the weird symbology there. It's a full Nitor Eternal Flame. So we click on it, and it tells us it tells us the same thing that you read about it on the research note, but it also tells us how to make it. In this case, it requires 5V per Nitor, it requires 4 ignis, it requires 6 lux, and it requires 4 potentia, which means it's pretty expensive, relatively speaking, compared to torch, at least if we were using it as just a light source. Like I did say, though, however, it'll be more important later on. But we are going to go ahead and make some. Now, you'll notice that it was in a cauldron shape. What that means is you actually have to craft it in the crucible. But we don't have a crucible yet, and how do we get one? And crucible is actually pretty simple. What we do is we take 7 iron ingots, and we craft a cauldron, which is simply a U shape, leaving the top and the middle free. And that gives us our cauldron. Now, very important fact about a cauldron is and the crucibles, it has to be near a source of fire. The other thing is that actually it has to be over an eternal fire. The other thing is you have to be near your arcane work table, because your arcane work table draws from it. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and put it right here, so it's right next to our water supply. And then we are going to dig out underneath it. Now, we are going to put a little bit of lava under there, because lava is a good source of eternal fire. And then we're just going to break it back up. Let's try that again. There we go. So it is a good internal heat source. and it's now safe. Now, it is still just a cauldron. We need to turn it into the crucible. Now to do that, we again wave our wand at it with the right click, and that turns it into a crucible. You'll notice that it's actually changed. Now, you're probably wondering, okay, well, that's got the crucible. How do we actually do anything with it? Well, that's actually pretty simple. What we do is first, we fill it with water, which is why we put it next to the eternal water source. Okay, like so. And I'm going to go ahead and get some more water for the next thing we make. Now you'll remember that we needed 6 lux, and we also needed 4 each of Ignis and Potentia. Now you're probably wondering, how do we get them in there? It's actually really simple. You actually literally have to throw them in. Now, important factor. Remember when we looked at the, well, here, I'll show you. Remember how you see how it's got 2 by both the Ignis and the Potentia. That means that for 4, we just have to throw 2 of those in. Now, since it only takes 5 V to craft, we're going to go ahead and actually make a couple of these. And when I say throw, I mean literally just hit the throw key. 1, 2. Of course, you've actually got to make it in. Let's go a little bit closer. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so that's 4 of those, which is, that's 8 V. Now, since it only takes 4, that's going to make 2 of them. So we need 12 of the torches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Okay, now we wave the wand, and now we have Nitor. Now you're probably wondering what happens to the element of Saxon that's in the coal. That is released back because we don't have anything to capture it yet. That's released into the atmosphere as flux. Basically the equivalent of thaumaturgical or magical pollution. So you do have to be careful about that because, as everybody's aware, pollution is not specifically a good thing. Now, let's show you what this Nitor looks like. Now, Nitor is actually a really good light source in a lot of ways because you can put it somewhere, knock out anything around it, and it will stay there, unlike a torch or anything else. It'll just hover right in the middle of the air with nothing holding it up or attached to it. Now, we're also going to go ahead and research the other common magical light source. And amusingly, it also has applications in the future. And that is Magical Tallow. Now, tallow generally comes from, in the real world, comes from flesh. So let's go ahead and chuck some of this rotten flesh in there. You'll notice it's got 4 corpus. So we ought to be able to get this pretty easily. And boom, I already got the research started. I'm going to go ahead and start researching it. And you'll notice the mortis faded out, which means we're not doing anything with death in this. This is purely flesh, purely the corpus. Okay. And you'll notice it does say that there is another element in here. So we're going to go ahead and pull that. And more tallow, possibly it's flammable. So let's go ahead and throw some coal in there. And there we go. We now have our research for Magic Tallow. Okay, we right click. And we check our Thaumonomicon to see how we make it. And it shows us how to craft Magical Tallow. It takes 4 corpus, which is basically one of each of those decayed flesh, and 5V. Now, you'll notice it's got a little blinking arrow in the bottom left, bottom right. And what that says is it tells us how to make. There's more to it. It tells us how to make it. In this case, it is 2 Magical Tallow, and a string gives us 2 tallow candles, but it costs 3V. It also says that if we have different colored dyes, we can add that to a tallow candle after it's been made, and it'll make and it will color the candle. So let's go ahead and try to make some, okay? So let's go ahead and grab some of the rotten flesh. Now it takes 5V to make this, to make each 2 pieces of tallow. So since it takes 5V, and we've got 50 in our wand, we can make 10. And that's actually pretty simple. Just come over here. 1, 2, 3. Just a couple more for good measure. Now it says we don't have enough charge to do that. That means I put too much in. Well, what are we going to do? If you shift, left click, it releases it all as flux, but it does clear it out. So let's try this again. 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, 50. Now, a big warning. Try not to do this at night if you're using the decayed flesh, and definitely don't do it if there's a thunderstorm, because there is a chance that you will accidentally create a giant angry zombie. Not a good guy to play with. That's got our Magical Tallow, and that actually used up all of our V. However, you'll notice it is recharging. Now we're going to come over to our table, our arcane workbench. We're going to go ahead and put our wand in there because it will be needed. Now it's very simple. We're going to go ahead and place the tallow, drop some string in there, and ta-da, we now have our candles. Now, these are a good light source. They're about as effective as, they're about as effective as a torch. The only difference is you can't put them up on walls. You have to actually place them on the floor or on tables. But they provide just as much light, and they kind of add a different, kind of a magical flavor to it, I think, especially once you color them. Now, we're going to go ahead and lay a couple of those down. Alright, now, those are the 2 first things that we want to cover. If you guys have any questions, if you want to see me do more directed research, go ahead and let me know in the comments. If you want me just to skip over the research and show you what the crafting looks like, let me know in the comments. Alright, thank you for watching. This has been Marius Darkwolf, and this has been Marius's Magery. I hope you have a wonderful day.